I don't want to delay. I want to have the election. But I also don't want to have to wait for 3 months and then find out that the ballots are all missing and the election doesn't mean anything. That's what's going to happen, Steve. That's common sense. And everyone knows it. Smart people know it. Stupid people may not know it. And some people don't want to talk about it, but they know it. And no, we want to have an election where people actually go in and what's your name? My name is so-and-so. Boom, you signed the book like I've been doing for years. It's very, very unfair to our country. If they do this, our country will be a laughingstock all over the world because everyone knows it doesn't work. How many ballots is he sending in California? Is it 28 million or some massive number? Other states are sending out millions and millions of ballots. Well, they've done it. They had experiments. They had news organizations experimenting. And look, read the story in the Washington Post about mail-in voting. It's a disaster. I'm very surprised to see that story, frankly, from them. The story is a disaster. So we're asking for a lot of trouble. And no, do I want to see a date change? No. But I don't want to see a crooked election. This election will be the most rigged election in history if that happens, John.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to look at a disturbing piece out of the fake news New York Times, where it has top Democrats, including John Podesta, wargaming and strategizing how they plan to dispute the outcome of the 2020 election. And that looks a lot like they're planning a civil war. We're going to talk about that, plus a bunch of other stories that the fake news won't cover or covers incorrectly on purpose. So stick around to check out that and a whole lot more. Hi, my name's Craig. Welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. If you guys haven't done it yet, please come here, click the big red subscribe button, smash it, whatever you got to do, hit that, then select that bell and hit all so you get notified as soon as all these videos get posted. And stick around at the end of this video, as we do in every video. We're going to talk about God's grace and how it's greater. Today, we're actually going to be talking about what it means to actually carry one another's burdens and how we're called to do that through Christ. And as tough as it is, it's a great lesson I think we all need to remind ourselves of, especially as things get worse and worse. So stick around for that at the end, because we know that God wins in the end, ladies and gentlemen. So stick around for those words of encouragement, and I hope you guys do for that as well. Today, we always look at the cue board where we left off. 4620 is where we left off. And note, we haven't had any new cue posts as of now, but we do have the exact explanation of what's happening today. Right? If you guys read this, we read this in the last video. It's very important we share this information, get it out there, because we have to expose the fraud that's happening. We have to expose the insurrectionists. We have to expose the criminal corruption that has infiltrated our government, that has infiltrated these big tech corporations, that's infiltrated the politicians, that's infiltrated pretty much our society as a whole. We have to keep calling it out. So it's here for you guys to read. We've already went through it. You can watch the last video and share that if you want to get a little bit more of a detailed explanation there. But we have a bunch of big news stories we're going to cover today. Before we do that, though, quick reminder, download the Brave browser today for free using the link in the description of this video, and you'll get a great product. It's an internet browser like Chrome, Safari, Internet Explorer, Firefox, whatever you're using, but it's better. It blocks the ads. It's got a firewall and a VPN, a built-in Tor browser, so much functionality, and it's a great product that you can get for free. And when you download, install, and run it on your computer, laptop, or your smartphone, they'll make a contribution to this channel. So it's a way to support the channel, get a great product, and it's a win-win. So check out the Brave browser today using the link in the description below. Now, getting into the first story of the day, bombshell. I mean, after bombshell coming out of this Ghislaine Maxwell case, and they're unsealing the evidence, they're unsealing the arguments, and it's just commonly accepted, right, that Bill Clinton was going to Jeffrey Epstein's island with young girls. But I guess we're just going to ignore that. Like, crickets from CNN, crickets from MSDNC, crickets from NBC and the rest of the major broadcast corporations. It's hilarious to me that these people think that we have the memory of a goldfish, that if they just don't talk about it, we're all just going to ignore it and it's going to go away. This is only going to get bigger and bigger. And it's only going to get bigger and bigger as we get closer to the election, because more and more information is going to come out about who was there, who was involved, what they were a part of. what they were engaged in. Wait until the stories start coming out about the underground tunnels that had to be caved in on themselves and all the entrances sealed with giant concrete machines that Jeffrey Epstein had ferried into the island. Wait till those stories start breaking about what was happening in those tunnels beneath the island. Wait till the story comes out about what was happening when the victims of this monster were being taken from different countries in Latin America and the Caribbean. You know, I mean, I really hope people understand the gravity of what's happening here, the gravity of what all this means, and how we are right now engaged in what can only be described as a precursor to a civil war. Because we have this attitude in our country, and it's so disturbing and it's so sick, where, you know, we've been attacked already. It's not like we've provoked anything. All we did was seek to expose corruption, to get a single-tier justice system so that our criminally corrupt politicians, leaders, weren't being processed through a different second-tier or two-tier justice system where they got favorable treatment. They got preferential treatment because they had infiltrated, blackmailed, and leveraged their control over all of the people working in these systems, and then slowly over time planted many, many different minions, if you will, their criminal cohorts, into these organizations like the Department of Justice, like the FBI, so they could continue their mafia-like activities unencumbered. And there are certain people, let's just say, that President Trump's working with, that are in the military, who exposed this. And I'll give you a few names if you want them. People like General Flynn, people like Admiral Mike Rogers, people like other patriots who will leave nameless for now, who love their country, who have stepped forward to expose this corruption day in, day out, who have called for our country to come together and coalesce behind a movement that is based in pretty simple ideas like liberty, equality of law, justice, the things that our country was really founded on, right? The idea that these people have to be held accountable is really the most important aspect of all of this. So keep your hope, keep yelling this stuff from the mountaintops, share this, get it out there, and look at what they've done to our country, though. We have a bioweapon possibly from China that hit us, right? We have Democrats becoming tyrants in their states, opening up the jails to build an army in the streets, right? Why do you think they emptied out all the jails? Because of Corona, or because they're trying to build a paramilitary branch of active fighting components in the streets? It's all coordinated. It's all organized. This is all a part of an effort to steal the 2020 election, and or to launch a further insurrection if President Trump wins a second term. It's all about casting doubt in what's going to happen here. And I think these Democrats are actually believe that they're going to be able to have states secede and actually launch the conditions that would be a major precursor for a civil war in this nation. And you ask, what do I mean by that? Well, first of all, like I said here, Jim Jordan on the internet, on Twitter, saying the Obama-Biden-Comey cabal was out to get President Trump. How is someone not in prison? Well, I'm glad that you're asking this question now, but even if all the evidence, we've had all the evidence, we've known it's coming, now it's coming out, and still Congress is doing nothing. You have the Senate saying, dragging their feet, saying, oh, okay, well, we'll have a hearing and we'll bring some people in and we demand answers. I'm seriously at the point where, people should be in handcuffs. People should be getting perp walked into prison right now, or into a court to face a trial, because it's just the beginning of what they're going to do to try to preserve their power, what we're seeing today, right? And what are we seeing today? This is from the New York Times, the lying fake news New York Times, in an article entitled "How the Media Could Get the Election Story Wrong." Interesting. So now what they're doing is they're sowing the seeds with their kind of cognitive dissonance so they can control the story, because we've exposed the fact that they plan on having the fake news incorrectly report the results of the election. They're just going to lie. Listen, as I said before, These are the same people who spent the last 3 years or whatever, 2 years, 2.5 years or the first 2 years, 2.5 years, 3 years of President Trump's entire administration, his presidency, telling you a 100% completely fabricated lie that he's an agent of Russia. While, in the same breath, covering up for the criminal actions of the political players that they thought were going to be favorable to them, the Democrats. And if you don't think they're going to get on TV and go, well, looks like we're going to call it tonight for, we have a newsroom full of people and they're looking at the election results and we're going to go ahead and call it for Joe Biden. If you think they're not going to do that, regardless of what the results of the election are, I got a bridge to sell you again. And if you think that they're not going to have a contingency where even if President Trump wins, they're going to say, well, look, California, we have 28 million mail-in ballots that are we've only counted a million of them, and there's 20 million that are still outstanding, and we found 100,000 at this post office, and we found 20,000 at this post office, and we found 10,000 in a dumpster behind the post office. And they're going to do that for days, weeks, even try months after the election to discount and invalidate the results of the election. And this piece is very interesting. If you want to read it, I'll leave a link to it. But in this piece, there is a quote that is sobering because it is so incredibly disturbing. Listen to this part here, the last few paragraphs of this article. It says, but conveniently, a group of former top government officials called the Transition Integrity Project actually gamed 4 possible scenarios, including one that doesn't look that different from 2016. A big popular win for Mr. Biden and a narrow electoral defeat presumably reached after weeks of counting the votes in Pennsylvania. For their war game, they cast John Podesta, this guy, the fact that these people, it's like Andrew Breitbart said, the fact that this guy is not being exposed by the fake news as the world-class cover-upper of sick and evil stuff is beyond me, right? But that aside, it says they cast John Podesta, who was Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman, in the role of Mr. Biden. They expected him, when the votes came in, to concede just as Mrs. Clinton had. But Mr. Podesta, playing Mr. Biden, shocked the organizers. Now remember, Event 201, remember how they planned this whole pandemic before it happened in October, just before it started spreading rapidly? This is what they're doing right now. They're planning how they are going to start a war in this country by invalidating the results of an election, as they've been trying to do for the last 4 years since President Trump got not elected to become president of the United States. Mr. Podesta, playing Mr. Biden, shocked organizers by saying he felt his party wouldn't let him concede. Alleging voter suppression, he persuaded the governors of Wisconsin and Michigan. Yeah, of course, Michigan, Whitmer, that lady is she is the worst kind of hypocrite and Democrat sycophant you ever imagine. But it says Michigan to send pro-Biden electors to the Electoral College. In that scenario, California and Oregon and Washington then threatened to secede from the United States. What? If Mr. Trump took office as planned, the House named Mr. Biden president, the Senate and White House stuck with Mr. Trump. It's President Trump, by the way, these idiots, right? In the fake news, they write these stories and they don't even call the President of the United States President Trump. I mean, the disrespect, but it's all calculated and coordinated. It says, at that point in the scenario, the nation stopped looking to the media for cues and waited to see what the military would do. Well, I got a little tip for you what the military is going to do, okay? The military is going to side with President Trump. The military is going to side with patriots who love this country. If you think that our military is going to side with these psychotic, racist, violent criminals that just got out of prison, that are burning down our cities, you're out of your mind. Okay? You're living in a fantasy world that doesn't exist. You fake news liars. You people are trying to sow the seeds of division. You're trying to put the precursor out for this civil war because you know we're going to expose every single one of you. And I don't know how many of you are going to end up in prison or Gitmo or whatever, but it's going to be a hefty number when we're all said and done. Okay? And if you want to know the truth, V2, just remember that. For all those insiders listening, Gitmo V2. Think about that. There are some other places where we can put people, and there are other places where these people are going, the ones who are trying to destroy this nation, and that's why I'll leave it. But I'll say this. You know what? You read through this and you understand what they're doing. President Trump called it out. He said, if you don't, you're an idiot. He said, you're stupid if you don't get what's happening here. You saw the clip at the beginning of this video. He says, if you don't understand that they're gonna start pulling ballots out of dumpsters and dumping them at the office and saying we have to wait, we have to delay, we have to do this, we have to do that, you're living in a fantasy world. And like I said, the military is not going to be siding with the Marxist, communist revolutionaries in our streets. They're going to be siding with the patriots who have pretty much been the silent majority up till now because, look, there's a big portion of the population, I can't lie, part of me wouldn't mind just being able to live my life peacefully and not have to worry about all this. But what's the point of having this great country, this great republic, if we're just going to give it away to these criminals? If we're just going to say, yeah, that's just too much work for us to, stand up to these criminals and throw them in jail and not let them run our country into the ground anymore and sell us out to the highest bidder and attack and hunt down, in some cases, metaphorically speaking, all of their rivals, their political, and not metaphorically, in Trump's case, they literally illegally spied on the president of the United States and his campaign, their political rivals. Then they used that information after he won to start a coup, to start an insurrection, to give the fake news all these lies that then were weaponized to try to make President Trump seem like some kind of Russian agent. And then when that finally failed after a few years, now they're doing this. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to wake up. And you know why they're doing it? It's because even through all this stuff that they've done, even through all the manipulation, all the lies, all the attacks, President Trump is still favored by most of the people in this country, 51% from Rasmussen. So you can say what you want about the polls, but it seems like just as of this Monday, he's back to 51%. Think about that. Now, these fake polls are fake polls, and I don't put a lot of faith in them, but it's the metrics that these people, the corrupt criminals, use to say, okay, well, we can't risk having President Trump win. Look at what was happening before this virus. We had a great economy, lowest unemployment, best jobs numbers. We were doing great, and people felt happy, and people loved this country, and the media kept sowing the seed of division, kept telling lies, kept just night after night saying how evil America is and how, President Trump's this white supremacist and racist, which is not true. It's complete false fabrication, and it doesn't even make any sense if you know what President Trump's done in his history. But then when the virus hits, what do? Like jackals on a corpse. They're just gnawing away like, yeah, like we love seeing our country destroyed. Let's empty the prisons, right? And then we'll start our Marxist communist revolutionaries and we'll go take over downtowns and we'll burn things down. These people are psychotic criminals. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. It's a psychosis. It is a psychosis that we are up against, these psychotic people who are evil. They're maniacal. And look, this is what President Trump was talking about here. This person put on Twitter that they already received in California, right? This is the worst state in the union by far. But I would be all for a federal occupation, even if we have to bring in federal troops if these people try to secede, because I'm not with the secessionists. I live here, but if they secede from the country, I'm not going anywhere. They'll have to come drag me out of my house. I don't know what I'm going to say. Other than we need help, right? And we'll stand up for what we know is right, which is we'll stand for our country, the Constitution, and first and foremost for God. And if they want to come after us for that, so be it. But this is the greatest example. This person's already receiving a mail-in ballot at their house, right? Or the precursor to a mail-in ballot. And they're saying, oh, by the way, they sent one to her grandmother, or to their grandmother who has been dead for 5 years. They put out 28 million. You imagine how many of these things are going to be put back in the mail fraudulently, sent back, and they're going to be fraudulently filled out, or they're going to be fake. They're going to be printed and copied and then thrown in mass into mailboxes. I mean, the level of, and if you think they're not going to do it, guys, look what they're doing. They've organized. They hate our country. They want to destroy it. They're out in the streets, fighting police. You don't think they're going to be printing up thousands of these things, hundreds of thousands of these things, and stuffing mailboxes all around the state? You're crazy. You're living in a fantasy world again. But you guys aren't. I know you guys aren't. But if the normal person out there is watching this goes, yeah, that's totally normal. We should send out 28 million ballots to people, right? They should be able to vote. Well, what was wrong with the system beforehand? Oh, because of COVID? Well, gee whiz, I guess we should just take the Constitution and have Dr. Fauci in a ceremony, tear it up and throw it into a garbage disposal, because that's about how much it's worth now, that with the way that these criminals have decided to become tyrants, especially here in this state, but in other states as well. You might be living in one of those states. You might not. But I'll tell you what, it's going to affect you regardless. Mark my words on that. Another thing I wanted to ask is just a quick question. Was CrowdStrike using contractor access to the NSA database to extract corporate business and financial secrets that they could trade, leverage, and sell? I mean, it would be the ultimate insider trading scheme. I wonder if we're ever going to get a resolution on that. Or is that too vital to national security to even talk about? I don't know. You guys will tell me. Judge ruling, here's another example, on Adam Schiff's impeachment subpoena records that they have to stay secret. Well, of course. Transparency in government? Pfft. Yeah, that's so 2016. Welcome to 2020. You live in an Orwellian nightmare that is full of communists and anarchists. It's just a wonderful time. The next story here I want to talk about. So this is what I was saying before too. They think that I think they really think that we're completely incapable of understanding what they do. They just are so brazen about it. So blatantly criminal and hypocritical in everything that they do. So, D.C. mayor exempts John Lewis funeral attendees from city's quarantine restrictions. Oh, right. Rules for thee, but not for me. I ain't going to be on that train, right? If you went to his funeral, you're like, oh, yeah, but it's okay because it was John Lewis, whatever that means. It has nothing to do with science or, efficacy of quarantine or efficacy of the rules that they put in or any of that. It's almost like they think that you're less important and less valuable than them, right? It's almost as if government activity is essential and the capital of the United States is exempt from the mayor's orders. Yeah, yep. So they don't use science in the first. They use science when it's convenient to them. They ignore it when it's not. And then they tell you that you should be subservient to them in every way, and that's their racket. It's what it comes down to, and that's why they're planning this whole criminal disruption of our election system with this mail-in voting, the voter intimidation. I mean, at what point too are we going to address the fact that Antifa and BLM and the violent racist activities that happen at these organized events is a form of voter intimidation? I mean, are we not going to address that? Are we just going to pretend that people aren't going to be scared to leave their house? I mean, I have family that some of them won't even travel right now. They're terrified. And they are big Trump supporters, and they know what's up. I tell them, hey, look, this is all a big, this was planned. I said that, remember when I told you they were going to tank the economy? Well, this was them tanking the economy and then using this virus to shut down Trump rallies and to shut down the debates. Because if Joe Biden had to debate President Trump, the whole world would just see how much of a laughing stock that guy is. The guy can't hold a coherent thought, more or less have a rational debate with someone. So the idea of them standing on a stage next to each other and having to debate is almost as laughable as like trying to debate I don't want to be mean to anybody. It's like trying to debate a dog or something. I don't know. Not to they'll be like, you dehumanize him. I'm like, but the guy has no substance. There's nothing there. There's no there. He doesn't say anything that means anything. And when he does, you can tell it's 100% scripted, and it was handed to him by some of his programmers, that he has working for him. So the DNC programmers, I like to call them, the ones programming Joe Biden's teleprompter and telling him what to say. So, look, this is what it is, people. Yeah, it's hypocrisy. It's disgusting, and I keep getting on tangents, so I'm just going to go to the next story. Ratings crash for NBA and MLB after protest-filled debuts. Well, what do you expect? First of all, like I said, I don't care. I love basketball, love football. I played them growing up. I'm a pretty good athletic guy. But I cannot watch any sport today. I never really was a big hockey guy, but now I like hockey because at least they don't hate America. At least they don't kneel for the national anthem. At least they don't disrespect everything this country is and do it in an arrogant way where they're so ignorant that they don't understand that this country gave them the opportunity to be millionaires who get to bounce a ball and throw it in a big hoop on TV, right? And they pay you millions of dollars to do it and to work out and to eat well and to stay healthy. It's like, these people have the life, you know? And they turn around and say, I hate this country, you know, America was never great, blah, 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 blah. It's like, shut up and bounce the ball. Or do me a favor. Do half of an ounce of research beside just taking what you read in a tweet from some crazy BLM activist online or from Colin Kaepernick's blog and tell me how I'm an evil person because I don't believe exactly what you believe. How about diversity of thought, real diversity, not the fake diversity that you guys believe in where, you know, just you have to fill the quota of who's what color and we need to get them in around a table so we can just pretend that we're diverse when everyone thinks the exact same way. It's not diversity just because people have different skin color. If you all think like in groupthink and have no individual thought and no room for dissent, that's called tyranny. That's called communism. That's called socialism. These people are crazy. And in all fairness, a lot of these athletes they're too busy with their lives to take the time to do the research. But then they need to realize they have a huge platform and what they're doing is ultimately hurting their sport and it's hurting our country, but they don't care. Because they're just like, yeah, we hate the country. Yeah, okay. Can I get my millions again? Can we open back up the gym? I hate capitalism, but I'll take my $2 million check in cash, please. So yeah, I digress. Now, Minneapolis city government urges for victims to submit to criminals as they defund the police. You can't make this stuff up. The city council puts out this is like, you have to laugh at the absurdity. These people are serious, though, and that's what's terrifying, is that these people want to run your life. And they put out a statement saying, well, we have 100 robberies and 20 carjackings, but here's how you prevent robbery. Be prepared to give your cell phone and wallet up. That's the good one. And do as the criminals say. Don't fight back. That would be very dangerous if you fought back. What world do we live in? These people, could you imagine what these people would do if any other foreign nation invaded us right now? If we actually had to fight for this country. Just saying, hypothetically, these people would be so fast that they would have big communist jackets on. They'd have giant pictures of Chairman Xi in their house with Mao Zedong. They would be it would be insane to see how quickly these people crumble under just the slightest bit of real pressure. Right? Because they're just the weakest people amongst us. And that's usually what these people end up going into politics for, is because they feel so weak and da-da-da, and they feel like, oh, now I have power over people. And that's what you're seeing in Minneapolis a lot of the time. I'm not saying in every case. I'm not saying every politician's like that. I'm just saying in this particular case, it seems like there are a lot of very menial people who are getting very high-ranking positions and then making orders that are just so contradictory to everything this country stands for. It makes your mind spin. And I'll leave links to all these articles if you want to read about them. But, you know, finally here, there is a petition right now that is, right now, let's see. I'm going to try to refresh this here. We only need 821 signatures, so I know you guys, this audience, can get it over the top. It's a petition for the White House. Once we get to 100,000 signatures, it will go on President Trump's desk saying that President Trump needs to sign an executive order to make mandatory mask wearing unlawful. Which is 100%, I'm 100% for it. Great. If you want to wear a mask in a high-risk area, I get it. You want to go in a nursing home, you don't want to... I totally understand why people use masks. And I've even tried to say this. I have family members who work in high-risk facilities, right, where they have to take extra precautions. And I tell them, I go, I totally get it. But if you're telling me I have to wear a face mask to go to whatever store, which I don't even shop at Walmart, but let's say whatever store I go to, I have to wear a face mask that I know doesn't really work, and that is really ultimately just hurting me in the long run. I mean, I don't get it. There's nothing in the Constitution that says you have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, except if COVID-19 comes and then you can be forced to wear face masks by tyrants who are unaccountable to any binding documents that this country is run by. I mean, yeah. don't remember reading that part of the Constitution, even though they keep pointing to the part in the Constitution where it says the states are responsible for all laws that aren't mentioned specifically here. Well, yeah, except for the fact that you can't force me to hurt myself, right? You can't force me to do something that I know is going to detract from my freedom, my life, without reasonable cause. And to me, I haven't yet to see one instance of reasonable cause for an entire country to wear masks as they've been doing, where you're prevented access. It's like violating your HIPAA, violating the HIPAA laws and everything else. When did Albertsons become a dispenser of medical information? Did they have doctors on staff telling them, yes, we need to wear face masks in every store to reduce their liability if they get sued? I don't know. It's insanity. It just, yeah, Juris Doctorates, right? You guys know what I mean. Lawyers. So yeah, sign the petition if you want. Don't if you want. I don't really care, but I'm giving it to you, and there's only 820 signatures, so I'm sure we could help push it over the top. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. That's pretty much where we're going to leave it. A few more things before we go. Remember, watch these videos, share them on your social media, get the word out that way, and don't forget to leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to say about everything that we talked about here today. You can also find me over on Twitter, for now, until they suspend me again. Remember, I got suspended after President Trump retweeted a video that I posted on there. Actually, I should say a video clip from a news conference that I put on there. And now I'm finally back, so you can find me at Just Inform You. I'm also on at informed_news, and that's the official channel for the Just Informed Clips channel. By the way, if you haven't checked out Just Informed Clips, it's right here, a link to it on the main page. Go check out Just Informed Clips. It's a great channel, and I'll be putting up more content there very soon. I'm also on Parler at Just Informed Talk, and the backup channel BitChute.com/JustInformedTalk, plus JustInformedNews.com is the official website for Just Informed Talk, where you can get links to the different websites. You can get the latest news, you can get the latest videos, and there's other ways you can create, or you can contact me through there. So go check that out. And if you guys want to help support this channel, thank you so much to everyone who does. You can come over here to Patreon, patreon.com, crowdfunding website. Your donations keep this channel going. It's a monthly donation. Set it and forget it. You're helping create content on this channel. If you can afford to, it helps me out. It keeps me going, right? I couldn't do this otherwise. Plus, I also have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. Links to everything will be in the description below this video. Now, before we go, we do a segment at the end called God's Grace is Greater. Today, we have a pretty important message, I believe, out of the book of Galatians, chapter 6. It talks about carrying one another's burdens. Now, in this time where you just heard me go on this long rant about how all this stuff's happening and how we have to stand up to them, how do we really fight it? And it's an interesting way of thinking about it here, where it talks about carrying one another's burdens, meaning it was like I said, it'd be so easy for us all to just sit down and just live our lives and try to ignore everything that's going on. But this is what it means when you really stand up for something, and this is how you do it the right way, as Christ taught us. It says here, again, this is Galatians 6:1-10. It says, brothers, if someone is caught in any wrongdoing, you who are spiritual should restore such a person with a gentle spirit, watching out for yourselves so you won't be tempted also. Carry one another's burdens. In this way, you will fulfill the law of Christ. For if anyone considers himself to be something when he is nothing, he is deceiving himself. But each person should examine his own work, and then he will have a reason for boasting in himself alone, and not in respect to someone else. For each person will have to carry his own load. The one who is taught the message must share his goods with the teacher. Don't be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, he will also reap. Because the one who sows to his flesh will reap corruption from the flesh, but the one who sows to the Spirit will reap eternal life from the Spirit. So, we must not get tired of doing good, for we will reap at the proper time if we don't give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, we must work for the good of all, especially for those who belong to the household of faith. So, my message here is pretty simple, guys. As tough as it may be kind. Be gentle and with good spirit. Help bring others God's glory by sharing the gospel, by telling them about Christ and their eternal salvation. And do not repay evil with evil. You must repay evil with kindness and goodness, and we will overcome this evil. And that's my message to all of you out there. It's pretty simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. So let's all try to work toward that, and we will actually do what God needs us to do and Christ has taught us to do, which is live out loud for Christ, help others, be kind, help the needy, go into your community, volunteer. If you're gonna protest, actually peacefully do it. Don't get into fights with these people. Show them by example. Lead by example. We're all leaders, and we have to lead by example because Christ is our leader. And if we just follow his instructions, follow his path that he's given us, we'll be just fine. Share that with your family, your friends, your loved ones. And that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it. I want to say thank you for watching this episode. Don't forget, also hit that subscribe button, hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's it for me, though. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.